So it's official. Minato has won narutop 99, signaling that he's going to be receiving a manga soon. But if you've been following me for a while, you knew this already. I've been hinting indirectly at the fact that Minato has already won narutop 99 for a couple of months now, because I was made aware of the fact that he was the winner, and by a landslide, a couple of months ago. The announcement of Minato winning narutop 99 came in the form of a 17-minute video posted by the Naruto official website, where they showed us the top 99 characters in the popularity poll. And wow! Was that unnecessary? Kohara, a character who works at a sushi store in Konoha, 199. Based solely on the fact that the first time that we see her, and the only time we ever see her, she is fully naked. She got 1,300 votes. Gamatatsu, a character who gets a fair amount of screen time, got 1,400. Monkey King Enma, one of the strongest summons in Naruto, got 1,440. He is literally based off of Wukong. But what people were obviously most interested in was the top 10, which started with Hinata raking in 144,000 votes, with Madara coming in at 9, only beating Hinata by 500 votes. And then Sasuke, who received 170,000. And then Sakamoto Hatake, who received 500 more votes than Sasuke. And then, for some goddamn reason, Naruto receiving 182,000 votes. He's already got a manga. Our top 5 were Kakashi coming in at 5 with 212,000 votes, who, mind you, has had their entire story told and has 2 separate light novels about them. Shisui coming in at 4th at 280,000 votes. And if you think that's a lot of votes, wait until you hear how many our third entry on the list got. Sakura, who received 489,000 votes. And some of those votes might have been memes, but a lot of them were written on the back of how much Central and South America adore Sakura. But even Sakura couldn't eke out Itachi's 505,000 votes. But 500,000 votes seems like nothing when you consider our number 1 spot, Minato, who received 792,000 votes. See, the reason that I'm going over these is because I want to illustrate to you how not close it always was. And Kishimoto, from the moment that voting closed, has known that. Which is why Kishimoto is already done with Minato's manga. Yes, I said done. And on top of that, Kishimoto has made an official press release that leads me to believe that the 4 episodes of anime that we're getting in September are gonna be of that manga. And all of the chips are falling directly in line with my current theory that not only this manga, but the 4 episodes of anime we're getting in September are the ball beginning to roll towards Minato, the previous generations. Now, we've talked on the theory that Minato is getting his own anime a couple of times already, but new evidence has come out that very clearly substantiates this claim, and that's what we're going over today. So sit back, relax, and get your tinfoil hats on, because today, we're talking about Minato, the previous generations. But before we get to talking about anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you love hearing breaking news from anime, you're gonna love my other YouTube channel, The Weeb Commander, where I talk about any anime that's not Naruto or Boruto. Thinking about putting an Oshinoko episode out, so God knows where we're going with that page. And once again, if you like hearing breaking news from anime, then you're really gonna love my brand new anime podcast called Otaku's Anonymous that I'm doing with Danny Mata, where we break down everything that happened in anime this week. narutop 99 very much included. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So Minato's getting a manga. We've all known this. That's why you follow me. I keep you in the know before anybody else even knows. And a lot of this stems from the fact that narutop 99 was electronic. They didn't have to go through millions of letters and be like, all right, 1 for Sakura, 1 for Minato. It's an Excel spreadsheet. They knew who won the second it was over. Now, what I didn't know officially is that Kishimoto had already started the manga, though I did theorize that he had. And boy, was I right. See, we got an official press statement from Kishimoto in regards to narutop 99. I don't want to go through this press statement with you because there's a lot of juicy tidbits in there. So the press statement reads, "Thank you for the incredible amount of votes. It was fun seeing how the results varied from region to region. I was shocked to see Minato at the top of all regions, and the fact that Sakura is so beloved by many people around the world made me proud as a writer." And it's not really a juicy tidbit, but like, if you wanted Sakura to be beloved, you could have written her like a little better. Like, yes, obviously her character development is incredible, and I very much enjoy her as a character, and if she had won, I wouldn't have been upset at all because I'm an adult. Now that you've seen the outpouring of love for Sakura, you could make her, oh, I don't know, like a smidgen more relevant in Boruto now that she's the only member of Team 7 who hasn't been hilariously nerfed. What do I know? Back to the press statement. Kishimoto continues by saying, "To tell you the truth, I was actually rooting for Kurama. I was planning on drawing only the top 20 characters, but I really wanted to add Kurama, who was close at 22nd. Now, I'm assuming that Kishimoto wanted Kurama to win because he recently just killed Kurama like a year and a half ago. And everybody loved Kurama, so maybe he felt bad about killing Kurama and he wanted to give us a story of Kurama probably before he ran into Hashirama or Madara. Or maybe a story of Kurama and Naruto's last couple of days they got to spend together or something like that. Because I've seen a lot of people being like,
oh yeah, Kurama's Kishimoto's favorite character.
It's not. It's actually Sasuke, which is unfortunate. Kishimoto continues to go on by saying, so I ended up including him in Guy, who was in 21st place. Outside of the first place person getting a one-shot manga, the top 20 people were also drawn all together in a montage. It was only supposed to be the top 20, but he wanted Kurama in there, so he included 21 and 22, who are Might Guy and Kurama. It's a cool piece of art, actually, and Shisui is holding his Susanoo spear in it, which, like, might canonize his Susanoo, but probably not, especially when you consider the fact that his Susanoo was drawn by Kishimoto originally for both the video games and the filler. Kishimoto goes on by saying, sorry for completely ignoring the original plan to have the top 20 characters for the 20th anniversary because of my personal attachment. Who cares? More characters, better for everybody. Right now I'm working on the short manga for Minato, who placed first. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Kishimoto goes on to say, while trying to make a story that would match the expectation of his fans, I ended up with more pages than I had originally anticipated, which tells us a couple of very important things. One, the manga's already done. Kishimoto already knows how long it is. He made it longer than he wanted to. Now this might just mean the storyboarding and the story of the actual manga are completed, and now Kishimoto has to go back and draw all of it, which is how manga gets made in the first place. Now, whatever it does actually mean doesn't really matter all that much, because it means that the manga is either nearing completion or complete. And while we haven't received an official release date for this Minato one-shot, the fact that it's either complete or nearing completion means we'll probably see it in the next month or two, or at the very least before September. See, the votes tallying coming to a close right now may seem like a coincidence or an arbitrary date, but it plays into the greater universe of Naruto and what's currently going on with the content and all of that perfectly. Boruto's anime is currently on hiatus. Boruto's manga is going to hit the time skip in 7 days as of this recording, as after chapter 80, we're heading to the future. And we know that Boruto's anime isn't coming back until October. And therefore, the 4 new episodes of Naruto we're getting in September, celebrating the 20th anniversary that happened 2 years ago, are supposed to essentially lead into part 2 of Boruto. And therefore, this Minato one-shot is supposed to fill the gap in content we're currently going through, which is what leads me to believe that we'll be seeing it at least before September, but probably substantially before that. I estimate early June. So that's good. That confirms my theory that Kishimoto was working on the manga while they were counting votes. The last 2 lines of the press release are also very interesting. So Kishimoto goes on to say, please look forward to the secret story behind Minato's jutsu. Thank you all for voting. But I want to focus on that first sentence, the secret behind Minato's jutsu. Now, a lot of people who have forgotten their Naruto history believe this is going to be the story of Minato learning Flying Thunder God, as Minato was known as the yellow flash of the leaf, and what he was most known for was Flying Thunder God. However, in this press statement, Kishimoto was saying Minato apostrophe S's jutsu, as in a jutsu that belongs to Minato. And those of you who have been doing your Naruto history homework, you'll know that Minato's jutsu is the Rasengan. And therefore, in the second to last sentence of this press statement, we learned what the one-shot manga is gonna be about. Minato creating and mastering the Rasengan. And that's important, but we're gonna talk about it later, because we need to talk about release dates and how things are looking a little bit fishy, but in a good way. So assuming that Minato's manga is at least nearing completion, and assuming that we'll see it in the next month or 2, places the release of Minato's one-shot manga suspiciously close to the release of the 4 episodes we're getting to celebrate Naruto's 20th anniversary. And considering the fact that this one-shot manga and those 4 episodes are both being released to celebrate Naruto's 20th anniversary, we can't help but see some pretty obvious connections between the two, especially when you consider the release dates. See, the manga that Minato is receiving is a one-shot. And for those of you who don't know what a one-shot manga is, I'll explain. See, a one-shot manga exists in an awkward in-between between a chapter and a volume. A regular chapter of manga is anywhere between 20 and 60 pages. A lot of modern-day manga, like My Hero Academia, JJK, Chainsaw Man, have the 20-page model. And this is because they release weekly. Boruto, on the other hand, which releases monthly, has 40 pages a chapter. At the more extreme end of this are manga like One Punch Man, which can have chapters from 20 pages to 70 pages long. I think there's a chapter in One Punch Man that's over 100 pages. And Hell's Paradise, which consistently has 60 to 70 page chapters. Now, a volume of manga usually has anywhere between 4 and a dozen chapters. But what happens if you have a self-contained story that's less than 4 or a dozen chapters? Well, then you release a little something referred to as a one-shot. See, in Western culture, we would refer to this as a comic booklet, a self-contained story that's longer than your average comic, but not long enough to have its own extended run. And that is what Minato is getting. A story that'll probably fall between 2 and 4 Boruto-sized chapters. So a low-end estimate would say around 80 pages, while a high-end estimate would say around 130 pages. But the beauty of a one-shot is that it comes out all at once, and that is key. That means that the second that this one-shot is released, we're not waiting for new chapters. The story is opened and closed, which would mean that assuming we receive a June release date for this one-shot, that there would be 3 full months between this one-shot and the 4 episodes we're getting in September, which is plenty of time to convert this story into an anime format. So what I'm driving at here seems relatively obvious, that the 4 episodes we're going to receive in September are the anime version of the one-shot we'll receive in June. And there's a precedent for this. The end of Naruto is animated light novels. The beginning of Boruto is 3 back-to-back animated light novels. In Boruto, we also saw Steam Ninja Scrolls get its own anime run. On top of this, when Sasuke Retsudan was turned into a manga, the second that the manga was finished, it was animated. While the idea of seeing 4 episodes about Minato might excite you, there's more. See, because in the press statement that Kishimoto made about the release of these 4 episodes in September, he stated that they currently have 4 episodes planned. Not we're gonna release 4 episodes in September, we have 4 episodes planned. Now, mind you, this was a couple of weeks ago, probably while Kishimoto was creating the manga for Minato. So you could really take this one of 2 ways. One, this confirms the idea that the Minato one-shot is going to get its own anime adaptation, and by using the terminology of planned, Kishimoto was giving himself more room to possibly write more pages in Minato's story, as if the story got too long, it would spill into 5 or 6 episodes, or the plan has always been to do more. It's a possibility by using the terminology of planned, Kishimoto was saying that we have the story for 4 episodes. While this story could be 4 episodes long, if the public perception is positive enough, it could be more. See, I've already done a half-dozen videos telling you what Viz and Soesha's plan is in all of this and how they're making that plan a reality. Release a 9-minute video of all of Naruto's best moments animated in 2023's level of animation. That way we can see if the Naruto community still has a pulse. Upon confirming that the Naruto community does in fact still have a pulse, give a manga to the most popular light novel we've ever created, Sasuke Retsudan. Upon seeing that not only does the Naruto community still have a pulse for watching things, but also reading things, especially pertaining to characters who aren't named Boruto, animate that very popular manga to see if the Naruto community comes back in order to watch stories about people who aren't named Boruto. Upon realizing that people will come back to watch stories about people in the Naruto universe, run a poll to see who they really want to see, and then give the winner of that poll a short, cute little story. So once again, put the final nail in the coffin to see if people who will vote in this poll will come out to read this manga, and then see if people who read this manga will come out to watch the episodes. Because positive public perception equals money. And that is what this shit has been about forever. So now that we all understand the greater movements of Viz and Soesha and Kishimoto, why is this one shot about Minato creating the Rasengan so important? Well, we already know a couple of things about Minato creating the Rasengan, and they're all very interesting. One, Minato got the idea for the creation of the Rasengan from watching a tailed beast bomb. Yeah, that's straight out of the data books. Minato, upon observing the spherical power of a tailed beast bomb and the level of destruction it can incur when launched, decided, what if I could make one of those, and created the Rasengan? But this has always been a plot point that confuses a lot of people, because when and where would have Minato seen a tailed beast bomb? I mean, obviously Minato saw tailed beast bombs in the 4th Great Shinobi World War and on the night of Naruto's birth, but Minato created the Rasengan when he was young, the youngest to ever create a jutsu outside of Kakashi, created a jutsu accidentally, which would mean that Minato would have had to seen a tailed beast bomb before Naruto's birth or the 4th Great Shinobi World War, obviously. Now, while one could say that Minato maybe saw a tailed beast bomb used during the 3rd Great Shinobi World War, that doesn't make sense either, because he knows how to use the Rasengan during the 3rd Great Shinobi World War. Also, he's too old at that point, which would mean that sometime prior to the 3rd Great Shinobi World War, Minato would have to see a tailed beast bomb used. But Minato, so far as we know, didn't fight in the 2nd Great Shinobi World War. He wasn't old enough, unless he was. See, this is the reason that people want Minato to get a manga so badly, because the telling of his story would elucidate the 2nd and 3rd Great Shinobi World Wars, 2 of the most important historical events in the history of Naruto. But considering the fact that Jiraiya was barely old enough enough to be battling in the Second Great Shinobi World War, it's hard to believe that Minato was out there, especially when you consider the fact that Team Jiraiya wasn't formed until Jiraiya returned from raising the Ame orphans 3 years after the Second Great Shinobi World War, which would imply that Minato wasn't even a genin during the Second Great Shinobi World War. So somehow, between the Second and Third Great Shinobi World War, Minato had to see a Bijou bomb, which really only leaves us with one possible situation. He saw it from Kurama. Since there was no wars going on, Minato would be in a situation where you could see a tailed beast bomb go off, at least from any other tailed beast that wasn't Kurama, as Kurama is the only tailed beast in Konoha, which would imply that in order to see a tailed beast bomb, he would have to see it from either Mito Uzumaki or Kushina. And the most likely situation we're gonna see is Kurama being transferred from Mito to Kushina. Now, we fully understand that tailed beasts can be pulled out of somebody, and it's canonical knowledge that Mito Uzumaki has Kurama pulled out of her at some point and continues to live on for about a decade, which means that Kushina acquiring Kurama didn't require Mito's death, which is important because Mito dying would release Kurama's chakra and then he would reappear somewhere, which would be a possible situation in which Minato could have seen a tailed beast bomb. But since we know how he was passed off, it's a possibility that we're gonna see the passing of Kurama between Mito and Kushina kind of go awry. And in this fumbled handoff, Kurama either tries to or does get a tailed beast bomb off, which serves as the inspiration for Minato creating the Rasengan. On top of that being really the only way that Minato could see a tailed beast bomb, it also lines up with the correct timeline of when Minato created the Rasengan. So the other thing that we know about Minato creating the Rasengan is that it took him 3 years to create, and then another 6 months to master. And we know that Minato taught the Rasengan to Jiraiya, who then came back to the village and showed off to Minato, who was roughly 19 at the time, and I'll explain why I know that in a second, that he had mastered the Rasengan that it took Minato 3 years to create, in a way that seemed as though Jiraiya was bragging about the fact that he learned the Rasengan faster than Minato did. And to go further beyond that, we know that Minato was 19 years old in this scene because he was promoted to being a Jonin sensei at 19, the youngest to ever do it. And in this scene, Kakashi, who doesn't have teammates yet because Minato wouldn't get a full set of 3 genin until he was 21, runs off to Minato, making Minato in this scene 19 years old. Now, if we assume that it took Jiraiya 1 day to master the Rasengan, this would imply that Minato started creating the Rasengan when he was around 15. Now, mind you, everything I'm talking about right now does come from a Naruto Shippuden movie, so it's technically non-canon, specifically Lost Tower, but it lines up with my timeline, so I'm gonna use it. But if we assume that Minato didn't show Jiraiya the Rasengan immediately, which isn't crazy considering the fact that at this time Jiraiya was outside of the village, I'd estimate that Minato began trying to create the Rasengan when he was around 11 years old, leaving him to complete its creation at 14 and a half-ish, and then sprinkle in a year and a half there for Minato and Jiraiya to cross paths again, and for Minato to teach Jiraiya this brand new move. Why am I talking about these ages like a prosecuting lawyer of a statutory case? Well, because this story is about Minato creating the Rasengan, which would mean that if we pin down exactly when we believe Minato started creating the Rasengan, we'll be able to figure out how old he is in this one shot. Now, why is that important, you ask? Well, how old was Naruto when his manga began? How old was Boruto when his manga began? The answer is 11 or 12. So it's interesting to me that Minato's manga is starting with him at the same age that both his son and his grandson received their own manga, and that the story of Minato creating the Rasengan possibly has heavy influence from his future wife, Kushina Uzumaki, which would not only kickstart the story of Minato as a ninja genius, but also start the ball rolling on one of the cutest romantic stories in all of Naruto. Now, while unfortunately starting Minato's story this late would completely miss the Second Great Shinobi World War, if Naruto manga and anime have taught us anything, it's that you can always go backwards. Meet a new character who is influenced by the Second Great Shinobi World War, here's their backstory, and then boom, I get lore. So what am I driving at here? Well, first and foremost, I was correct in the fact that I said that Kishimoto wasn't counting votes, but instead creating the manga so they could get it in a proper release date. Feel as though I deserve credit on that one. But secondly, that my estimation of when we're getting this release of the one-shot manga is suspiciously close to the 4 episodes we're getting, which we've heard nothing about. Plot-wise, at least. What we have heard about these 4 episodes is that they're tentatively placed at 4, meaning that there's a possibility of continuation. And to take it even one step further beyond that, we know what this one-shot manga is gonna be about. And using our massive knowledge of Naruto timelines, we understand that Minato will be roughly the same age as both Naruto and Boruto when their respective mangas began. So, will the Minato manga one-shot be a beginning of Minato previous generations? Who knows? But it's starting to look like yes. But what do you guys think? What are your major takeaways from all this news? Tell me in the comments below. While you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. God, it feels so good to be right.